the federal government and the organized labor have agreed on an increase on the 62,000 naira minimum wage.
Join
Ayodeji Ajishope
and
Adedamola Lafenwa
on From the Dailies every weekday from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. on Solutions 93.9 FM as they dive into the headlines with in-depth analysis and feedback from you on different stories from the national dailies. Start your day by gaining fresh perspectives, uncovering the story behind the story, and join the conversation. Because your voice matters. From the dailies, the conversation never stops.
Alright, it's the first working day of a brand new month of March 2025, the first Monday of the month, the third day in the month of March 2025. I say happy new month to our esteemed listener as I welcome you to From the Dailies and Solutions and 93.9 FM, the program where we get to take you through the front pages of our newspapers. And as usual, I have Comrade Ayodeji Ajishope live in the studio with me this morning. A beautiful morning to you, Comrade Ayodeji Ajishope.
Yes, a beautiful Monday morning to you, my dear comrade brother, and of course our listeners and viewers wherever they may be located this Monday morning. It's another Monday morning, and of course it's the first edition
For the month of March.
for the month of March.
Okay, and to our Muslim faithful out there, Shawe Nlo Dada. Okay. All right, without wasting much of our time, let's go straight to the business of the day. This morning, I have news papers, and I have about 5 newspapers with me this morning. I have the Vanguard newspaper, the Guardian, the Nation, the Nigerian Tribune, and of course, the Punch newspaper. And as expected, all the papers we have this Monday morning are fully loaded, starting with the Vanguard newspaper this Monday morning. And the first story says, Lagos Assembly crisis, plots to return Obasa thicken. Page 10 has that story. State of the nation, Nigeria flowing with tears, blood, Anglican Church, and the rider, Baptist Church to Tinubu, Nigerians are starving. Act now. And the biggest story on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper has to do with the Supreme Court verdict, which was pronounced on Rivers State, and as put by the Vanguard newspaper, Supreme Court verdict on Rivers, anxiety as Fubara begins implementation. And there are quite a number of riders under that story. Agrees to conduct fresh local government poll. Direct council chairman to hand over to heads of local government administration today. Fubara, Wike political class should find middle ground. South-South leaders. And another rider says a caution that Supreme Court judgment should not be compromised. Rivers Elders Council reacts. YFG insists contractors move to site before mobilization. And still taking stories on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, further hike in electricity tariff will be resisted. NLC, page 8 has that story. And Ramadan.
So what's the meaning of that?
You said?
So what's the meaning of what NLC?
NLC saying that they are going to resist any hike. Because you know where it last week that even those on band B and C should expect a review of tariffs, which means that the tariff will be hiked again, geared up again.
Maybe we'll get there.
When we'll get there,
have
definitely.
to break these things down.
And this one, when I saw it last week, I think on Friday, that some state government announced that some schools will be closed during the period of Ramadan in the north. And that really amazed me. I mean, why should schools be closed because of Ramadan? And we have reactions to that. Ramadan, can Naptan film over closure of schools? We'll talk about that when the time comes. Away from the Vanguard newspaper, let's go to the Nigerian Tribune. Alleged sexual harassment. We have no petition against Akpabio. Senate. Media aid faults Saraki. And NLC threatens mass action over telecoms electricity tariff hikes. Fubara to implement Supreme Court verdict orders local government chairman to hand over. And Ryder asks heads of local governments to take over council administration. Of course, page 23 of the Nigerian Tribune has that story. And another one, Dangote to refund customers who purchase PMS above advertised rates from key partners. Elumelu commits to boosting Gabon's infrastructure, youth empowerment. Away from that too, why I didn't implement 2014 Confab recommendations, Jonathan. New ATM fees, customers groan as banks begin implementation.
Buffeted on all sides.
I'm telling you, on all sides, Nigerians are just getting punched from different angles. And the writer of that direct CBN to suspend ATM fees hike pending court verdict. Serap tells Tinubu. I think, like I always say, Nigerians should just fasten their seatbelt.
Well, what I'm certain about this is going to take a while, but certainly the evolution and the, as Fela will say, the concluding of this matter is that Nigerians are going to get more interested in what government is doing with taxes collected. And at that point in time, people are going to be demanding transparency and accountability. And people in government they are not going to find that funny. It's not going to happen overnight, but certainly
We'll get there.
we'll get there.
Moving to the Punch newspaper now, Fubara dismisses impeachment rumor, Rivers elders caution FG. And the biggest story on the front page of the Punch newspaper, local government autonomy, government agencies brainstorm as direct payment suffers setback. Page 2.
They say they don't know who to pay and who not
They
to
don't
pay.
know who to pay, and you can imagine. You can imagine.
Hey.
Sorry, so embarrassing. I mean, this is something that ought to have been implemented since last year. Until now, they are saying they don't know who to pay to
And who not to pay.
and who not to pay.
Because they're not sure who is elected or who is validly elected and who is...
So many dramas every day. Now, moving away from that, ATM loaded with cash as 100 naira withdrawal fee begins. Our buyers will get 65 naira per litre refund. Dangote Refinery. And moving to the Nation newspaper, which has about 95% of its front page in advertisement, but I will skip that. Let me take the only story that is available on the front page of the Nation newspaper this Monday morning. It says, Fubara, I will obey Supreme Court judgment. Governor asks council chairman to hand over vacate office. And the last newspaper, that is the Guardian newspaper, 2025 budget, bloated 41 trillion naira revenue target stokes fresh fiscal deficit concern. And moving away from that, IBB's June 12 account, too little, too late. Still on June 12, Olanikmekun berates Babangida for not apologizing to Abiola family, Nigerians. Okay, moving away from the June 12 issue now, ACF calls for probe over Akpabio, Akpoti, Uduahan's face-off. And another one, betrayal, politics stall 2014 Confab report implementation, says Jonathan. Wike is in the news this morning. I'm sure Wike, wherever he is, will be the most happy man on earth, considering the judgment pronounced on Rivers over the weekend. You can't play God, Wike tells Fubara as governor pledges obedience to Supreme Court rulings.
You should not forget the word of the scripture that he who thinks he's standing should be careful.
That's the time will tell, definitely. Okay, two more stories here. House moves against oil firms owing FT 9.4 trillion naira royalties, other charges. And the last one, Dangote absorbs 16 billion naira marketers' loss from price reduction. It's 20 minutes to 10 from the Dailies on Solutions 93.9 FM. Comrade, we have a lot to discuss this morning. I mean, I hope the time will be able to permit us to touch so many things we plan to touch this morning. But let's start from Lagos Assembly. Mudashiru Obasa and Mojisola Miranda. It has been a leadership tussle. Two individuals laying claims to the speakership of a House of Assembly. And according to the Vanguard newspaper this morning, Lagos Assembly crisis plot to return Obasa thicken. Now do you see Obasa resuming as the official Speaker of the House after all the dramas that have played out in the past 2-3 weeks now?
I like the way you put it, official Speaker, because the man came back last week and presided over a four-man
house,
and declared himself as Speaker. And the man claims to own an LLB and BL from. That in itself should if he's reported to the bar, he should be banned from practice. A lawyer, you say, how could you do that? Then you are removed. You have challenged it in court, and then you come back. That is self-help. After going to court to determine whether it is just for the House to have removed you, he said he was removed unconstitutionally behind his back and all of that. You went to court, and then you come back to that same location, and you say you declared yourself Speaker, and you preside over a House where 4 people out of 40 are seated. That in itself is enough grounds to bar him from. Now, the reality of it.
But do you think, before you go on, do you think Obasa is doing all this